So, let's talk about Zeb Skip. Start with the quote-unquote free setup here. So when you're setting up for Zeb Skip, there's a couple of things to keep in mind. So I'll just talk about this. There are 4 Rinkas that are going to spawn when you enter this room. Okay. But you'll notice that 3 of them, those 3, spawn immediately, right? The 4th one is this one down here. This one spawns based on your proximity. So if you wait, then it will spawn later. Okay? The other 3, though, like I said, they do spawn immediately. The reason that this is important is because you use this Rinka to actually perform the Zeb Skip. Okay? This is the important one. These 2 you don't need to worry about at all. This one up here is what we generally use to take damage to get iframes to get through the Zeb Skip, to get through the Zebetite. So I'll talk about why this works before I move on anymore. And I'm not planning on making this like a super long video or anything, but basically the reason Zeb Skip works is because the game prioritizes Samus standing on frozen objects instead of non-frozen objects, okay? So what happens here is that Samus actually, the game places her on top of the Rinka, which is already inside of this Zebetite. And since she's already inside of it, there's no collision detection. Okay, so it just lets her in, basically. Okay, so the free setup, this is the one that most people recommend to beginners, and I fully stand behind this, is to not have screw attack on, take damage so that you have iframes, and then do a short spin jump. Do a short spin jump onto the frozen Rinka, which will then put you into the Zeb and you can jump through. The way that I like to set this up is I like to jump across, crouch and angle down, shoot that Rinka, wait for the top Rinka to hit me, okay? And then you'll notice if you're not holding any directions, when the top Rinka hits Samus, she'll bounce off of the platform like this. Okay. We don't want to fall off of the platform, so you want to tap left after taking damage from the top Rinka. And then just do a short spin jump. Make sure it's not too big, or what will happen is you'll run out of iframes. Okay. Just do a short spin jump. Oh, come on. What the heck? And then jump back up. And that's really it. Now, if you're new to this, you're going to try and do this, and it's not going to work, and you're going to swear that I'm a liar and I'm a cheater, and you won't be able to figure out why. I honestly don't have a quantifiable answer for you, other than that sometimes this does randomly fail, and if you aren't used to kind of what you're doing with jump heights and stuff, see how it didn't work for me there? It will sometimes fail, okay? But don't fret, because that's not a new problem. And don't panic. Just, you know, wait for more iframes and try again. One thing that you can do if this fails like this is you can do a spin jump away and back onto the Rinka, and what happens there is that the game still pushes Samus onto the frozen Rinka. Come on. Which puts her inside of the Zeb, which does damage. It's 0 damage, and then that gives her iframes. That's a good backup if you miss the first time, but it's kind of a harder thing because you also have to do another spin jump and back through after that. So again, kind of what that looks like is you do a spin jump away and back on, and then you do it one more time and you can jump through. It doesn't matter what you get iframes from. Just as long as you're getting the iframes. And not taking too long. So, that is the free setup, okay? There's also the Downback Skip, which is what I main, and some people that have watched my other tutorials on this swear that it's easier than the spin jump one. The benefit to the Downback Skip is that you can do it with screw attack. So basically you run in here, you want to fall kind of to the left of the middle between these two. That's where you'll get the Rinka to spawn. If you're too far to the right, it's not going to spawn. See that? So you want to be kind of to the left of the middle between the platforms, and then what you want to do is you want to jump up. You want to delay ever so slightly, and then you want to jump up. I do an aim down here. That will break spin, and also it slightly delays Samus's collision with the ceiling, which makes it more likely that you'll take damage from this top Rinka. Okay. And then you want to shoot as you're landing, and that will freeze the bottom Rinka. And as long as you're doing it down back, you'll land on the Rinka. What's a down back, Zenny? I got a criticism from a guy on one of my other Zeb Skip videos where he complained that I didn't explain down backs, so we'll explain down backs really quickly for anybody who happens to be watching this tutorial but has not watched any other Super Metroid tutorials. A down back in Super Metroid is where Samus is in a falling state. So that happens when she walks off of a ledge or unmorphs, okay, in the air. Notice how her arm kind of lifts up there. Woo! That means that she's falling, okay. If you jump, notice how she doesn't lift her arm up. Just stays. That's because she's in a jumping state, not in a falling state. So in a falling state, she does that arm raise thing. And in a falling state, if you push down and then back, meaning behind the opposite direction of where Samus is facing, she will, for whatever reason, move forward. It sounds counterintuitive, and it is kind of counterintuitive, but it's how it works. So if you're facing left, you want to push down and then right. If you're facing right, you want to push down and then left. That is a down back, okay? And again, it pushes her forward for whatever reason. Again, this will not work out of a jump. Out of a jump, what will happen is she'll just turn around. Okay, but out of a falling state, she'll move forward. Okay, so Downback Zeb Skip. So notice we're jumping, but then we hit the Rinka, which puts Samus into a falling state, so that we can down back. You want to hold down back into the Rinka on the bottom. And again, you want to time your shot just as you're about to land on it. Something that I said in one of my first tutorials that has really stuck with a lot of people, and they've told me this is what made it work for me. I mentioned making sure that you have kind of a nice fat grip on your back input. Because a lot of the time when this fails, what happens is that you've actually subconsciously released your back input. So if you need to push harder on the D-pad or whatever you need to do, just make sure that you are most certainly still holding back for your down back. Okay. If you shoot too early, what's going to happen is the Zebetite is going to eat your shot. So you got to make sure that you shoot late. But also, if you shoot too late, what will happen is Samus will land first, and that will happen. It's not a super tight window. Optimally, it's about a 7-frame window for a shot, if you do the setup correctly. So it's really not, it's not too bad. It's just a matter of, okay, see, I screwed that up there. If you are, sorry, I'm kind of getting off track here. If you are running something other than 100%, and this happens where you screw up the down back, so you don't have screw attack, right? What you can do is you can do the spin jump thing and still get through. Here, I'll just pretend. Okay, so let's say that, you know, I didn't make it. If you didn't have screw attack, you could just spin like this and then jump through. Kind of like the backup for the other one. Trying to think if there's any other nuance to the down back. Oh, when you take damage from this top Rinka, unless you're crazy, and Oats and Goats is crazy, by the way, you do not want to be holding forward when you take damage from this top Rinka. You want to make sure that you're holding down or holding nothing on the D-pad. Because if you're holding forward, what will happen is you'll get a forward damage boost, which boosts damage, or boosts Samus downward. And that makes it so that it's much harder to time, because she's already so close to the Rinka on the bottom. Like you basically have way less time to get your actual down back inputs in. It's still possible, and it is technically faster, but for me the consistency is so much less and the time save is so small that I just have never bothered like trying to main it. So my official recommendation is to make sure that you're not holding forward when you take damage from that top Rinka. Okay. A couple more things we can talk about here. So you'll notice I just ran into this room. The optimal thing to do is actually, we'll just reset up the preset here. You want to jump through the door, because that actually fixes the door. So that was a 49 frame transition. If you just run through, it's a 67. And optimally, if you do your jump correctly, you can get basically perfect. That was a 46. Okay. So optimally, you do want to jump through the door. The thing is, that kind of complicates your setup a little bit. Just ever so slightly. What I like to do is coming in, I like to hold jump just for a couple frames. Okay? Because if you don't, and your jump wasn't high enough, then that's what's going to happen, is you're going to bump the corner and fall, and then it gets really awkward. Oh no! We screwed up Zeb Skip. We lost our run. So hold jump for a couple frames, and then again, you want to land kind of in the middle to left portion between the platforms and the gap. Jump back up, and go on through. Now, you notice I'm not doing the jump and run through thing here. Instead, in 100% you have grapple beam. And once you are on the frozen Rinka, if you shoot grapple beam, it will align Samus perfectly with the floor at the bottom of the Zebetite, and then you can just run forward. So that's another little frame saver there. That's 100% and or category with grapple beam percent exclusive version of Zeb Skip. Again, it doesn't enable a new way to do the actual clip. It just makes it faster once you've done the clip. Okay. All right. Couple more alternatives here. So let's say, Zenny, I have watched your tutorials. I have watched this tutorial. I've listened to you talk about Zeb Skip for hours. I've practiced it for hours. It's still not working. This thing just absolutely will not let me through. What do I do? Well, if you're running a category with enough ammunition, another thing that you can do, so this would be in 100%, GT Classic, if you grab extra ammo for any percent, etc., etc. Another thing that you can do is you can kill this first Zebetite. It's 10 regular missiles, 11 regular missiles, sorry, or 4 supers. Okay, so you can kill the first Zebetite, and then you can come over here and you can freeze this Rinka instead. Okay, you can do it either by sitting in the acid and shooting up, or by shooting left, but that will cause more lag. Or you can time a shot like this, which is kind of harder, but in GT Classic, for example, if you do this correctly, it guarantees that you're not going to take damage, which is important if you're trying to do this optimally. Now notice Samus is clipped into the wall here now. And all I did was similarly to the backup strat on the first one, if you just do a spin jump onto the Rinka, she'll get clipped in for whatever reason. You can then just morph like this through the hole. Okay, so you can, if you don't have spring ball, what you want to do is morph and unmorph and then morph again. Morph, unmorph, morph, roll through. Okay, if you do have spring ball, you can just spring up through. If you do this optimally, it's only ever so slightly slower than a downback Zeb Skip. The thing is, it requires more ammo. Oops. So it looks like this, kinda. Not actually very good at this. Come on. Zost is the master of this version. I think he does it in his current 100% world record. There we go. I don't know why, Maybe I'm just trying to boost too early. There we go. Like that. Okay. That's only slightly slower than the Downback Zeb Skip. You can also do, I think it's 1, 2, 3, and then 4 missiles, or maybe starts with the 4 missiles. I don't know. You do damage boost. And in GT Classic, the important thing, he definitely doesn't use all regular missiles. That'd be too slow. In GT Classic, the important thing is to not take damage, because that makes another brain fight faster. But yeah, so that's Zeb Skip in a nutshell. I probably missed some things, and I'm sorry about that. I'm wanting to redo a bunch of these bite-sized tutorials, so this was actually, Zeb Skip was the first tutorial I ever made, and a bunch of people liked it, so hopefully this one is helpful. Hopefully it's, you know, more condensed than the other ones that I've done. Even if the video is just as long, it should have more information, more helpful information. And oh, thank you, Clipper. Yeah, I want to do this. I want to update the movement tutorial. I want to do a new Craig quick kill, maybe a new green gate glitch. A lot of stuff. Anyway, thanks for watching, tuning into this particular tutorial, and I'll try and do more soon.